Yeah, so good evening, everybody. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
Oh, great. So my name is Femi Badejo as introduced. So I will just walk you through what product design is in summary and the opportunities, the importance, and every single thing you could achieve from being a product designer. So what is product design exactly? This is a non-coding actually area in tech where all you do is solve people's problems. You solve business problems, business issues, challenges with products. That's basically all you're doing. But now the other side of it that people don't really talk about is the fact that you have to think, you have to be creative, you have to be able to spend time trying to solve problems, even when you know you're not the one to use that solution. So product design is a very crucial part in tech, right? Because it helps you create awesome experiences for a lot of customers of businesses and companies, right? And as a result of that, you are being a very wonderful person in the industry because you stand out in every single company you go to. Because without you, basically, they can't really produce a product. So without a product designer in a company will have issues being innovative, will have issues be able to reach their end customers, and also will have issues trying to ensure that everybody out there can see what they've created. Now, let me give you a typical example of what a product designer does. I'm sure everyone on this call probably uses the social apps like WhatsApp, TikTok, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, and the rest, right? Now, these are applications that were designed by product designers. So if product designers were not in the game to design such applications, right, the front-end developers and the back-end developers will not be able to consume them to create what we call apps that we use on our devices, our phones. So product design is a part of tech that you don't really need to know coding, but having coding knowledge is also an advantage. But your major core function is designing, whereby you're creating things from scratch to finish. Now, one important thing about the product design field is you must be able to think, like I said earlier, you must be able to be creative. You should be able to draw things from an idea to a finished product. So you're not really just sitting down and typing. You're basically picking tools and creating a lot of designs. So every single thing you interact with on the web, even as you're using Zoom for this meeting, right, was designed by a product designer. So that's the importance, that's the value of the kind of field you're about to go to if you're deciding to go to product design, right? It's a field where it's really sought after because the world right now, everybody is going to talk about user experience, talking about user interface design. Now, a product designer does all these things and also improves the product. That's why each time you use a software, a product, you see something called an update. That's because the product designer has improved something which they've been converted into a feature, and you can now be able to use it. Now, if you go back into other things you have in product design, you have other fields like UX design, graphic design, data analysis, and prototyping, right? These are all the things you will do as a product designer. It's not like you're just going to use only Corel Draw, like people think it is, or use Paint. Nah, you're going to use a whole lot of tools. So your knowledge base is going to be extended. And because you are solving people's problems, you're indirectly improving the way you think. You're indirectly improving the way you see challenges. And when you become a good product designer, you obviously are going to have a lot of money in your account because the pay of product design is not cheap money. It's huge because your decisions are what makes companies make more revenue, right? Now, so there are various things, right, that product designers do, right? You obviously we create designs, you would draw a lot of things, you would work with a lot of data, and you work with a lot of teams. You work with people like the front-end developers, the back-end developers, scrum masters, project managers, product managers. So you're working with almost every single person in the company. Because why? Your idea is about to change the world. So if you decide to become a product designer, it's not a bad thing. It's something that you would enjoy doing if you decide to be creative. Now, there's a question people ask me is, can anybody join product design? The answer is a capital yes. if you have a skill set of empathizing things, like you can empathize with people, you can feel people's pain, right? At least a lot of us felt pain when probably some of our candidates didn't win during the election, right? Now, those kind of feelings, if you can take those kind of feelings into creating something that's going to solve someone's problem, you would obviously be very good in product design, right? If also you are able to sit down and think things from start to finish, you would obviously do well in product design. So even if you're coming from a business analysis background, you're coming from accounting background, you're coming from fine arts, you're coming from even a science background, you're solely welcome. I know a friend that came from medicine to product design, so it's not an area in tech where it's not welcome. Everybody is welcome to product design. The most important thing is creativity is key, thinking is key, and also trying to solve things end to end is very important. Now, so there are different levels. I'm sure when you start as an associate, then you get to a product designer level, to a senior product designer, and become a product design manager like myself. So it's not a field where you're just stuck at one point. It's a field where you grow as long as you keep improving yourself. And it's a field where you could work from almost anywhere in the world, right? Because before I came to Synfix, I worked in a lot of clients around different places in the world, right? So it's a field where you just need to have a PC, a good monitor, a good internet connection, and a good sense. Then you can be able to do anything. You can be able to work. And it's a very wonderful field because anywhere you relocate to in the world, you still have jobs. Now, there are a lot of opportunities. I can count 9,000 plus of opportunities every month for product designers. Why? Because every single day, an app is created, a software is created, a problem is emerging from nowhere. So there's always a job for a product design person. The moment when you keep using applications on your phone, using your bank apps, you're doing transactions, doing everything, just have it in mind that there's always a job for a product designer. So product design is a field that I feel and I believe if you try to do it or you try to go with that path, you won't really have difficulties if you put your mind to it and you're willing to learn. So for me, I think product design is a field that welcomes everybody. Else, I probably won't be in that field for a long, because I've been in this field for about 15 years, right? So it's been a very awesome experience. So I would advise, if you really want to do product design, if you put your mind to it, then you can do anything. So thank you. And I hope I was able to explain in detail what product design basically is. And I was able to make you understand the value of the field when it comes to tech. Hi, Dami.
Thank you. Yes, you did. You did. Thank you so very much. Like, that was very short and very, very insightful. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I do from my heart. Any questions for Femi before we go to the next instructor? Any questions?
Oh,
Okay.
that's a very good question, Ephraim.
Yeah.
And I was open to answer these questions when we get to, but I'll just give you a quick answer. Now, when you talk about graphic design is just a field where you talk about abstract, what you see, right? But when you go deep down into product design, you're talking about value, right? Whatever somebody is about to pay for is value. So product design does with value. It's a field where you're not just thinking about abstracts, but you're thinking about the experience of how somebody feels. Now, if I give a typical example, like many of you stay in different states, right? And I'm sure many of you have traveled. If I say, how was your experience traveling using the road? I'm sure many of you say, my experience is bad, my experience is this, my experience is that. Now, if that road was made better, I'm sure your experience will be better. Now, think of it this way. Product design is a field whereby the experience you're trying to derive from something is to ensure that the value is high. So people are satisfied with that experience they've gotten. Unlike the free way of graphic design. So graphic design, you're just designing still stock stuff, abstract stuff that are not really talking and appealing to people's emotions. Because when you appeal to people's emotions, you can be able to make them pay for something that gives the company or whoever value in return. Because the goal of all these things in the first place is return of investment, is to make money. So if actually you really want to go deeper, Graphic design is on the surface level. In fact, we say it's a subset of product design. So graphic design is like a subset of product design. It's like you have a big bowl, right? And product design is the big bowl. Graphic design is like a container in product design. So if you have a knowledge of graphic design, you just have a little subset of what product design is. It's a good advantage, yes, but it's just one subset of what product design is. It's just like a tree with just one branch. That's basically how graphic design sits with product design. So when you compare them side to side, I believe when we go into the side hub, I will explain in detail the difference and the value each of them have. But if you start off as a graphic designer, it's not a bad thing. It's a plus when you become a product designer, because you already have the basic knowledge of design principles and how to create things that are visually appealing. So visually appealing is more detailed to graphic design. Product design is emotional appeal, which means subscribing to value. So that's the major difference between both of them. Hope I was able to answer your question, Ephraim.
Yeah, I'm sure